What is balance? Is it a feeling, a goal, or maybe a myth that we keep on chasing? In this episode, we will slow down enough to question the version of balance that we have been sold. And maybe we're going to rewrite it here. So stay until the end to define what exactly balance means to you. Welcome to the Haus podcast, your go-to space where design, cognitive sciences, well-being, and business come together. I'm your host, Monica Costa, and today you're tuning into a well-being capsule, where we slow down, reconnect, and explore science-backed insights to support your everyday life. This podcast is powered by Haus, born from its mission to guide designers in creating spaces for well-being grounded in cognitive sciences principles. Let's dive in. The other day, I came across someone confidently stating, balance is a myth. And she said it with such conviction that it stopped me in my tracks. Something about it unsettled me because what if she was right? If balance is a myth, then what exactly have we been chasing all this time? What is it that we call balance then? Is it even real or just another idealized concept we have romanticized into oblivion? That simple statement sent me spiraling down a path of curiosity. And I started asking myself, when we say we want to feel balanced, what do we actually mean? Are we looking for a state of stillness, of control, of equal distribution of our time, of energy, of emotions? And if balance isn't real, then what is? The more that I thought about it, the more I realized maybe we have been using the word balance when what we really mean is something maybe entirely different. So I decided to go deeper, and I turned to science, to design, to the nervous system, to books, to business frameworks, to see if there's something concrete, something real underneath all this talk about balance that we're having. And in this episode, I want to take you with me in this exploration, basically to open up a perspective we don't often pause to consider. So let me share with you the first question that stirred something in me. The one that I actually invite you to carry with you as you listen. Is balance something we achieve or something we practice? And if it's not a fixed destination, then what are we really striving for when we say we want balance in our lives? So let's start from the beginning. When we talk about balance, we often carry an image in our heads of someone gracefully managing it all. Work, health, relationships, parenting, personal growth with calm and poise, never breaking a sweat. It's a kind of quiet choreography, isn't it? And actually one that assumes we're capable of holding every area of our lives in perfect symmetry, like spinning plates that never wobble. But when we slow down, really slow down, and begin to look at that image from the inside out, it begins to feel off. Like a painting that's beautiful from the distance, but when you're up close, it reveals impossible proportions. That's because the idea that we've been sold, that balance is something we can finally arrive at and remain in, doesn't hold up under the weight of real life. And that's when I started wondering, maybe the problem is not that we're failing at balance. Maybe it's that we never really understood what balance is in the first place. See, we often use the words balance and equilibrium as if they were the same thing. We just throw them around in conversations about burnout, relationship, routines, and go around saying things like, I just want more balance in my life. Or maybe, I'm finally feeling equilibrium again. But let me share something that actually came up in my research. They're not interchangeable. In fact, understanding the difference between them might help us better understand our purpose here. Let me walk you through it. Equilibrium is a scientific term. It describes a condition where all the forces acting on a system are perfectly balanced out. So much so that there's no net movement, no strain, and no change. It's what you see in physics when a seesaw is perfectly level, or in chemistry when a rate of reaction going onward is the same as the one going backward, or in economics, for example, when supply matches demand exactly. And I think you might know where I'm going now. Maybe that's part of the trap, right? We're holding ourselves to a standard that only works if you have one job, one role, one specific goal. To be in full equilibrium, you would have to give 100% of yourself to one thing to get one specific outcome. We are only human and we are wired for multiplicity. Our minds are capable of infinite directions, of building a business, of raising a child at the same time, maybe taking care of your elderly parents. And yes, maybe even planning a heist, all in the same brain. So when you think about it, what we often call finding balance is really an attempt to function at 100% in every role at the same time. So a pursuit of full equilibrium that simply doesn't fit the reality of being human. But balance is different. It's an act, a subtle, ongoing, often invisible act of compensation, of noticing that something's pulling us one way and adjusting to keep ourselves upright. It's basically us responding to a shifting landscape with small recalibrations on the way. It's the parent on 4 hours of sleep that's still remembering to pack lunch. It's the founder in the middle of scaling a business and finding time to go for a long walk and breathe. It's a friend who's overwhelmed but still chooses to show up with presence when you're going through a tough time. This is exactly what Joseph Sergi, a well-being researcher and professor of marketing, calls the positive balance in his book of the same name. And attention, he doesn't mention anything about the absence of negatives or perfection across all areas, but rather a life where the positives carry more weight than the negatives across time and across domains. Meaning, it's not about having all parts of your life thriving equally at once. It's about ensuring that in the grand sum of it all, your experiences tip the scale toward well being. Not because nothing is hard or negative, but because enough things are meaningful. In his model, well being is not a single moment, it's an evolving net effect. You might be exhausted from work, but you're learning something that excites you. You might feel stretched thin as a parent, but a single connection with your child fills you back up. That's balance. So, if we wanted to round everything up, it's the fact that we judge ourselves harshly because we expect to feel like we're in equilibrium even while we are really balancing. We think something's wrong if we're tired or dropping balls or missing pieces. But that tension we feel, that tug of war inside of us, is just the honest human result of being in motion, in balance. Now, let me say that again in case you need to hear it differently. Balance is not a fixed state. That's equilibrium. Balance, in fact, is constant movement. It's dynamic. And Paul Thagard, a cognitive scientist and philosopher, explores this in his book, Balance, How It Works and What It Means. He says that balance is not the elimination of contradiction or pressure, but the dynamic negotiation between ideas, goals, emotions, and values. In his view, what keeps us sane, steady, and human is not some quiet inner equilibrium. It's the ability to hold complexity and still move forward with coherence. He talks about something called emotional coherence, that moment when your beliefs, your goals, and your feelings are not pulling on opposite directions simply because everything is aligned, at least enough to take the next step. And when that coherence fractures, when the balance tilts too far, that's when we fall apart. We feel scattered, conflicted, unsure, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing life wrong. It means you're in it. It means you're participating in the real balancing act. I mean, think of a tightrope walker. What keeps them from falling is not that they're perfectly still, it's that they're making hundreds of micro movements every second, constantly readjusting to stay on the rope. Those tiny shifts, invisible to the audience, are what keep them upright. And in the same way, your everyday choices, what you say yes to, what you let go of, what you delay or protect, those are your balancing acts. The more I explored this, the more I realized how many of us are holding ourselves to an impossible standard. We're trying to live as if we can maintain perfect performance in every area of our lives, as if we can be visionary leaders, loving partners, emotionally available friends, physically fit, mentally calm, deeply creative, and organizationally efficient, all at once at a 100% capacity, always. Isn't that insane? And the fact that we treat it like a failure when we can't? Absurd. But if you think about it, maybe it's just the cost of living fully. Because every meaningful thing, and I mean every truly meaningful thing, will unbalance your life. Falling in love will, starting a family will, building a dream will, healing from trauma will, Even breathing properly will. And neither Sergey or Taggart, the two authors that I mentioned before, tell us that we should chase balance like an endpoint. In fact, they invite us to understand balance as something that we construct moment by moment, domain by domain, not as something that we have, but as something that we do, because it's a constant action. We don't get to pour ourselves into what matters most without letting something else soften, wait, or fade for a while. That's the physics of choice. I mean, if you think about it, in order to choose one thing, you're by definition neglecting another. So maybe the real invitation here is not to get back into balance, like it's some perfect center point we can't freeze in. Maybe the invitation is to get better at listening, listening to where the weight is right now, where it needs to be, and adjusting accordingly. And then maybe instead of chasing equilibrium, we can become responsive artists of balance. Imperfect, yes, but somewhat steady and very alive. Now, here's a few things that I have concluded from my brief research on balance. And I want you to take them as gentle reminders that might help you recognize or recover your own balance. The first one is letting go of symmetry. Because sometimes balance doesn't look like everything getting equal attention. Sometimes it actually looks like letting one area of your life take the lead for a while. Not forever, just long enough. Maybe you're in the middle of launching something that matters to you, and your workouts can take a back seat for a week or two. That doesn't mean you're failing at self care. It means you're investing your energy with intention. You will return to the rest, not just right now, not all at once. Because the truth is, anything that really matters will unbalance your life at some point. Caring deeply about your work, your friend, your health, your healing, it all puts you off center for a while. You might find yourself caring for a parent who's unwell, and everything else feels like it's on pause. It's hard, but it's not wrong. That pull, that tilt, that's love showing up in real time. That's life asking you to be where you are. And with every pull, there is a cost, which is why trade offs are part of the deal. Every yes is a no to something else. You say yes to attending to your niece's school play, and that means missing a meeting you were excited about. And sure, there is tension in that, but you choose. And more than the perfect decision, what matters is that your decision came from a place of alignment with your own values. And maybe the bigger shift is this: learning to see well being not as a perfect daily scorecard, but as a longer story. Maybe your week was heavy, work left you drained, but you had three grounding, honest conversations with people who really see you. That connection fills you back up. That emotional nourishment counts. Sometimes it is the sum that tells the truth, not the parts. But to see that truth, you have to learn how to observe without immediately judging. So let's say you used to meditate daily, and this week, not once. Instead of spiraling into guilt, you pause, you notice, you name it, you ask what shifted. That moment of curiosity, not punishment, is how you begin to return to yourself. And what if that return doesn't look tidy on the surface? What if your house is a mess? You forgot three emails, but you apologize to your partner fully, honestly. That one moment of alignment, that quiet act of integrity, that is balance. As internal congruence between what matters and how to show up, which is why balance can't be measured from the outside. It's not about looking put together. You might not be waking up at 5 a.m. or following any influencer's checklist, but you feel calm, steady, clear in your own way. That is what counts. You do not need your version of peace or balance to look like anyone else's. And when the pressure builds, when your nervous system is overstretched, the answer isn't always to do more. Sometimes it's to do one thing less, to take something off the list, to step outside for 5 minutes, to breathe, to recenter. That act of subtraction, that's balance too. Because in the end, balance is not the absence of mess, it's the presence of choice, of attention, of return. So here's your challenge of the week. This week, let balance be something you shape, not something you chase. Choose one area of your life that feels loud right now, the one asking for more of you. Give it what it needs, even if that means giving less somewhere else. It's fine. Then maybe, if you want to get more introspective about this, take 5 quiet minutes to write about that shift. What did I choose to hold? What did I choose to release? And how did that feel in my body? Balance is not doing everything. It's knowing what needs you most and honoring that. Not forever or perfectly, just for now. It is the quiet decision to pour energy where it matters most today, at this moment, even if something else has to wait. It's the courage to be present with one thing without carrying the guilt of all the others. It's trusting that life moves in rhythms and that part of being well is learning to move with it. Now you tell me, is balance a myth? If this episode opened something up for you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might be ready to see their mind as part of their personal design process too. Remember to hit that like and follow button to keep the conversation going every Tuesday. And as always, thank you for being here. Stay well, stay curious, and keep designing your life with intention. See you next time.